every B2B marketing leader I talk to right now is describing the same challenge. Most of the work that actually moves the business feels invisible. You can't see it, your team can't see it, and your board definitely can't see it. And the pressure to do more, prove more, and produce more keeps building. If that sounds familiar, you're really not alone. For PE-backed companies specifically, that pressure is on another level entirely. Value creation timelines are shorter. EBITDA margins are under a microscope, and every dollar of marketing spend has to defend itself in front of a sponsor who's modeling the next valuation. There's no room for, we think this is working. You can either show it or you can't. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Virtually every B2B marketing leader is in the same place right now. The industry has evolved. Measurement hasn't. Leaders are walking into board meetings facing today's pressure, armed with the same two metrics the industry has been using for over a decade. That's marketing sourced and marketing influenced pipeline and revenue. Those metrics and those two KPIs were not built for the questions being asked today, and they don't even come close to answering them either. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why those metrics fail, what they're missing, and the measurement framework that forward-thinking B2B marketing teams are actually using to prove marketing's impact across the entire revenue cycle, not just the deals it gets credit for. This is the same framework that's helped our clients walk out of board meetings with multi-million-dollar budget increases approved on the spot, get promoted into C-level roles from VP, and finally answer the question that every CMO is being asked right now. Show us how what you're doing is working. Now, our approach works because we know this topic better than anyone. At Paceto, we've helped companies backed by more than 24 PE firms answer exactly that, with more joining every quarter. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what KPIs you should be taking to your next board meeting and why almost no marketing team can produce them on their own, no matter how good their RevOps team is. All right, let's get into it. So let's talk about why marketing sourced and marketing influenced pipeline and revenue both fall short. These are two metrics that virtually every B2B SaaS company uses to measure marketing's business impact today. Marketing source pipeline and marketing influence pipeline. Both of these have a problem. Marketing source pipeline, typically measured using last touch attribution, is when something marketing generated, like a webinar registration, a demo request, happened right before the opportunity got created. Marketing gets the credit for that deal. Now, marketing influenced, on the other hand, is when a deal maybe came from somewhere else, like cold outbound or a partner, but marketing can point to a handful of touch points that happened along the way, somewhere in the journey. Sourced is the easier of the two to defend, and it's become the North Star metric every marketing team is measured against. But it only captures buyers who are ready to buy right now and get handed to sales, which in any given quarter is about 3 to 5% of your market. Now, the other 95%, as we know, are potential future buyers, the ones forming an opinion about you for months, sometimes years before they're ever in the market to buy your product or buy a product in your category. Source pipeline tells you nothing about whether you are winning that group. So when leadership says marketing source pipeline was down this quarter, go get more of it, the instruction is very hollow because it doesn't tell you why your pipeline is down. It doesn't tell you why your CAC is up, and it doesn't tell you where to focus. This is the conversation that breaks marketing leaders in front of leadership and investors who want to know what's driving efficient growth, and the only answer the system can produce is a number that covers 5% of the market based on one very narrow moment in that buyer's journey, the last thing they did. Now, marketing influence was supposed to fix this, but it never has. Most teams report something like, we touched or we influenced 90% of opportunities this quarter because somebody on the buying committee attended a webinar. A CFO hears that and they think correlation, not causation, and they're right. The deeper issue is also who defines this metric. Marketing decides what counts as a meaningful touch, and they also decide how far back they should look. So the team being measured is the one controlling the measurement. Anywhere else in the business, that would be a red flag. And in a PE-backed company where every reported number is going to get pressure tested against the model, it gets dismissed almost immediately. So when both numbers hit the board, source pipeline gets taken seriously. Influence, on the other hand, gets brushed off. And marketing walks out of the room with less authority than it had walking in. All right, so let's talk about how to actually measure marketing's influence. Companies lean on marketing to drive growth. And for PE-backed companies, that growth has to come efficiently. Every dollar of marketing spend either compounds the exit valuation or it eats into it. Marketing teams are pushed hard toward demand capture, chasing the buyers who are ready to buy right now. The work that actually compounds happens upstream of a purchase decision, shaping perception, building brand familiarity, creating the conditions that make a buyer choose you when they're ready in the first place. Now, many companies aren't doing enough of this, and the ones that are cannot measure it well. You cannot measure this kind of work with a single touch point before opportunity creation. You measure it as influence, marketing's footprint across the entire journey of revenue creation, from the first time a buyer engages with you to the moment a deal closes, to every renewal and upsell opportunity after that. So here's how to measure it. Track marketing signals or touch points in 2 stages: engagement, before the opportunity exists, and closing, which is during an active sales cycle. And when I mean signals, I mean trackable first-party interactions. So things like web visits, content downloads, event registrations, event attendances, ad clicks, form submits, anything that demonstrates real intent or buyer research that you are tracking in your marketing automation platform. Now, the engagement stage is longer than most teams think. Across our customers at Paceto, it runs anywhere from 100 to 800 days, sometimes more. And in that stage, you want to know and track quarter over quarter how long your prospects are engaging with marketing before they ever become an opportunity. How many signals on average each opportunity had before it became an opportunity, and which channels or campaigns are driving those interactions to happen. Then, of course, you do the same thing in the closing stage. How many signals are happening once a deal is open? What is your buying committee doing while sales is working them? Which content or programs are they consuming along that journey? Now, most teams stop tracking marketing the moment a deal becomes an opportunity in the pipeline. So they have no visibility into the most expensive part of the cycle, when deals are actually being won and lost. Here's what this looks like in practice. One of our customers had a market that was heavily sales-led, and marketing really struggled to show its contribution using last touch attribution. We ran our analysis and found that 64% of opportunities in that market had marketing engagement before sales ever picked them up, even though they were being named a sales source deal. Now, when we looked at what separated the deals that won from the ones that didn't, a very clear pattern emerged. A specific set of content, campaigns, and channels kept showing up on the winning side, giving that team direct, evidence-backed answers on what kind of marketing was actually working and not working. That is not influence in the abstract version. That is a profile of a buyer that wins and a budget conversation the CMO can walk in a board meeting with answers to. By the way, if you want help getting this kind of visibility into your own buyer journey, that's exactly what our 14-day sprint at Paceto delivers. So if you're interested, you can learn more by clicking on the first link in the description. Anyways, let's keep going. Most marketing leaders really struggle to make their KPIs defensible to leadership and specifically CFOs. So if you're like most marketing leaders I talk to every week, tracking marketing engagement across a buyer journey isn't something your current system can even do. And if it can, you're still just reporting on an influence number, which we already covered doesn't hold up in front of a CFO. What elevates it is what you do next. So here's a simple approach on how you can take it to the next level and where you can actually show what marketing engagement means for the business in terms of value creation. Take all of your closed won opportunities across the last 6 quarters and split them into 2 cohorts. Deals where marketing engaged with a buyer in the engagement stage before the opportunity was created, and deals that had no marketing footprint before sales started prospecting. Now, look at the quarter over quarter win rate on those deals, sales cycle length, and average deal size for each cohort. Compare and contrast them. This is where you see in real numbers whether marketing is actually contributing to deals closing better and faster or not. So take this example. We ran the same exercise for one of our clients at Paceto, but only on their sales sourced deals, right? So this is where I mentioned 64% of those deals actually had marketing engagement before sales ever picked them up. On average, the deals with marketing engagement won at a 43% higher win rate than the ones without, with sales cycle lengths being 17% shorter. That's what makes marketing influence defensible. You're literally showing them deals with marketing engagement and how they win at nearly 2x the rate of deals without marketing engagement. And it also shows just how broken and flawed crediting deals by a single source is and undermines the real potential value of marketing in creating the conditions for sales to be successful. Now, you can run the same comparison across different dimensions, right? Different marketing motions, different deal types. This is the data that most marketing teams have just never gotten their hands on. And once you have these comparisons in hand, you can walk into a boardroom and defend the top of funnel and pipeline acceleration spend that you couldn't defend before with evidence. So we're now working with that same customer to rebuild their top of funnel demand creation motion because leadership finally understands why that function is so important in the first place. And we're going to keep tracking that data to show what it produces and how the team operates on a quarter-over-quarter basis. All right, so let's talk about the new way to measure marketing. Once you can actually measure the real value and business impact of marketing with this approach, the next step is to stop relying on last touch attribution exclusively and start augmenting it with 3 questions that speak to marketing's real value across the business. This shift matters to every marketing leader, but the ones inside of PE-backed companies are moving the fastest right now. Every motion has to tie back to value creation, and every number has to hold up under board scrutiny. So they're the ones getting the most prescriptive about how marketing's value gets proven. And when it comes to measuring marketing's influence on revenue, they've stopped relying on a single sourced number. They're answering 3 questions instead. All right, so question 1, did the buyer already know us when they entered into the sales cycle? This is the hardest of the 3 to measure cleanly, and it's getting harder as buyers are doing their research inside LLMs and in other channels that tracking pixels just will not see. The real proof, though, that preference is working shows up in pipeline growth and win rate increases over time. But as we know, that takes time, sometimes quarters, and leadership rarely gives marketing the runway to wait for it. So you need early indicators, right? These are signals that you can point to in the meantime that show the work is landing, even before the pipeline numbers move. Some ways to do that are branded search trends, AI search visibility, the percentage of opportunities arriving already knowing who you are. None of these prove anything on their own, but when they're moving in the right direction, they buy you the trust and the time to let the harder numbers catch up. That's what these metrics are for, not to replace pipeline and win rate as a scoreboard, but to make sure marketing gets to stay in the game long enough for the scoreboard to actually move. All right, question 2, did marketing help to accelerate or expand the deal once it already existed? Now, here's how you can measure it. You measure it by comparing win rate, sales cycle length, and deal size between deals where marketing engaged and deals where marketing didn't have a footprint on the deal. The marketing engagement can happen at 2 places: before the opportunity ever got created, when marketing was building familiarity and shaping perception, and then after the opportunity opened, when marketing kept showing up during the active sales cycles. Both count and both move the numbers. When you can show that marketing got in front of the buyer at either stage and that those engagements helped drive higher win rates and shorter sales cycles, that's the proof that the work that you are doing is doing what it's supposed to do. It's the connection between marketing's footprint and the closed deal, and it's the connection nobody can draw well today. Okay, question 3, did marketing capture demand at the moment the buyer was ready? Okay, this is demand capture. It's basically last touch attribution and pipeline source. And this is the work that happens closest to the opportunity getting created, right? A form fill, a demo request, a free trial, a hand raise of some sort. The buyer signals that they're ready, and marketing is the channel that brought them in or captured it. But what changes is what it's actually telling you. It's the answer to a narrow question. Who is ready to act right now? And what channel did they come through? And it's not the answer to what made them ready in the first place. That is preference. And it's not the answer to what helped close the deal either. That's influence. That is why if you really want to truly understand how your marketing function drives value, and if you need to get better at identifying how to build preference and show that it's working, book a free strategy call with us. It's the first link in the description, and we'd love to help you understand how you can do that. We'll walk through how our 14-day sprint works and exactly what it would show you for you and your team. The marketing leaders winning right now, they're not smarter than you. They just have better data. The ones without it spend every quarter defending decisions they cannot fully prove, and they will stay stuck in that cycle until they do something about that. Don't let that be you. And if you want to learn how to build a killer GTM strategy for B2B SaaS, then check out this next video.